All right, here we go. SomeBuddies Podcast, episode 16. We back. We're in the building. I got my usual suspects back in the room. Mr. Justin Etling, author of sold over 1 copy on Amazon.
That's a lie. I bought 3.
That's right.
I bought it. It's good. We got my man J Mac back in the building. He wasn't here last week. Miss Nicole. The Queen Bee, original gangster from episode 1.
Get it right.
Also, you may know her if you recognize her from world famous radio show airing every Wednesday on
Facebook Live.
Facebook Live.
Yep.
Process radio show.
But no, what's the actual
What's
station?
the actual station?
WSNM 1590. And it's also 95.3
Hell
FM.
yeah.
Check it out.
Yeah.
Check that out, definitely.
Check it out.
I'm Justin
The station
Tightman.
the station of Diana Ploss.
Yeah.
The famous
She lost her
racist
shit.
bitch.
Oh,
Shit. Here we go. Kicking it off. I like this.
Shout out to you, racist bitch.
well, we just lost all our racist supporters. Thanks, Justin.
Good
riddance. Good riddance.
Also, see, then nobody wants to introduce. I'm going to introduce you. We also got Mr. Chrissy L back in the building.
Hi.
Hi, Chris.
Hi.
So if you're new to this podcast, this show is a recovery-based show. It's a lifestyle. It's a bunch of other shit, spirituality. Sometimes it's not much of anything.
Minus my comments.
Yeah.
Apparently.
So prior to us starting, we were gonna have a topic, and then everybody was like, "Let's not have a topic. Let's just do funny, and then they were like, "All right, now go." So we sat here awkward for 25 minutes, and then we told a bunch of stories that we could never say live on air.
Yep.
True.
And here we are. So this is gonna be a little more lighthearted podcast, but the premise of this is ultimately connection, right? Connection, because everybody in this room is in recovery. The importance of connection. Without connection, really there can be no freedom that can occur. That's my belief system, because through connection we have the opportunity to be honest and truthful and be accepted. We can declassify ourselves as uniquely fucked up and understand that we're all fucked up. And from that we have the opportunity to have dialogue. Dialogue is the one of the most important things that we can have. Ultimately, it gives us the ability to no longer have to sort through our own clutter to get to our own clarity. It's the people that are around me in my life that keep me sane when I am not, and when I'm losing my shit. And they give me the freedom of laughter. They give me a bunch of fucked up, awkward moments in my life. They give me awesome stories that we can't tell on the air. But this podcast is pretty much that. We're trying to connect with people out there. Anybody that's struggling in recovery, anybody that's struggling in life, anybody that's living with a dialogue internally that tells them that they ain't shit, they can't do shit. We're here to tell you that that's bullshit, because we are products of the process of recovery.
Speaking of that, shout out to Eric Logan, my man from Salt Lake City. He reached out to us after the podcast. So there actually is somebody that listens to the end, because we didn't mention people reaching out to us.
Oh, I was going to say
I do want to
yeah.
I do want to mention that in the beginning.
Yeah.
Anybody who wants to comment, reach out to us. We'll help anybody. There's actually a lot of clean time on this panel here.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to Mickey too. He's been reaching out and reached out to Chris.
Yep.
He's an artist from Australia.
Hell yeah.
And when you guys first did the first couple episodes,
Aussie, oi, oi, oi.
when I was sharing the links, and he was one of the first people to reach out, and he was in long-term recovery and had relapsed, and he'd been out there for a few years.
Oh wow.
And that's where we connected, and I shared my story, and it's we have graffiti and being addicts in recovery, and he tunes in all the time. So I was thinking of that recently too. There's a long list of people.
Yeah, no, there's another dude, Eric, that hit me up on IG that I want to give a shout out to. I've actually been texting back and forth to him. He's doing the damn thing. He's clean right now, trying to get his shit back together. We had a good conversation about like honesty, right? The importance of that, and in connection, like having the opportunity to do this, right? This is ultimately like some of the most important shit that we do in our lives, the relationships that we have.
I always feel better after this podcast, as crazy as it sounds.
Yeah, I agree.
It's not that it sounds crazy, but it's this is how we get better in ways. You know what I mean? We connect spiritually. We talk. We laugh it up.
Well, the
mug it
joking
up.
before too. To be honest with you, the most I always go to laughter. I've been like that since I was a kid. Sometimes at a fault, going through stuff. Sometimes stuff's painful. When my friends are in pain, I literally want to try to make them laugh while they're crying, and we've actually experienced that as friends. We just always make light of everything. You've touched with your relationship with Trey and his sense of humor. That's Chris's brother Trey. That's what we do. It's how I get through some stuff. We all go through different things. Everyone on this panel we've shared some life stuff with, and I've shared some fucking really twisted sense of humor with all four of you.
I have
All
to have
three
it.
of you.
That
Yeah.
I mean, that was like when I learned to laugh again in early recovery was when I started to be like, all right, I'll give this a shot. Right. That's like but you need people, right? You need to find your people. I was just telling the story today. What the fuck day is today?
Thursday.
It's like
Yesterday I was
almost
telling them in
Friday.
group, right? Because
It's almost Friday.
it's
almost Friday.
We were talking about when you're sharing your truth, right? Or when you're just freely being yourself, allowing yourself to be. And the question is always like, are people going to judge you and shit like that? And my answer to that is yes, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking please believe. Know that for a fact. I said you potentially isolate half a room, right? Maybe 90%. But then there's 10%, those 10% of your people. And I told them the story about how me and Nicole started to become what we are today. It was a mutual friend, Nate. I walked into Burlington. Was it Burlington? Woburn. I walked into the Woburn meeting. And as I was walking up to sit down, he's like, you think you're fucked up, Nicole? You should talk to him. And then that was our introduction of us being fucked up. And then we just started sharing insanity. And she became one of my best friends to this day. And she's still more fucked up than me.
No.
Obviously.
It's lies.
Yeah.
No, it's such a lie.
Oh, she's fucking crazy. Do you want to talk about the story when she told me and Justin to go fuck ourselves at the office?
We can
and
talk
Can we?
about it. Let's
Oh my
fucking talk
God.
then
about it.
stormed
It
out and
wasn't
slammed the door?
Justin at that time was an innocent bystander.
Was
I
that like a
was.
couple months ago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
Fuck
yeah, that shit was fucking.
I slammed it twice. Let's
did,
not
you
get
did.
it
Yo,
twisted.
You did the
I
double
left.
slam.
I left
did.
the office. I
Fuck
came back,
that.
You did.
and everyone was fucking quiet and awkward. I'm like, "What the fuck happened?" Like, oh,
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh shit."
What happened?
Oh, we don't need to get into the
It was-
details.
we don't need to get into
There
what
wasn't
like
even
I
that
was-
many words.
I-
Said. It was like rhinos just kind of like
Oh, ba-boom, 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 ba-boom,
you know what I mean?
storming
They
in.
like made some grunts and then
I hate public fighting, so I'm trying to yell at her in a small voice. I'm trying to. She's yelling. She's completely comfortable with that dynamic.
no matter
I
what,
hate it.
I'm gonna
So
look
I'm
like a
yeah.
loser. Chris
You're
will.
crazy.
This will go on until I look like I'm
no,
fucking
no.
bleeding out. So it doesn't really matter.
No, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah. Okay.
We were both wrong. We were both wrong. We were both wrong, except it was my.
So
it
she
was,
said, "Go fuck
except
yourself
it
and
was,
slam the
it
door."
was my
Don't
birthday.
even. It was the birthday.
Except
we know.
it was my birthday. No
Oh.
big deal. You know what I mean? It's
I was
And we know
I
how
tried
Chris
to
is on his
mediate.
birthday.
Nicole woke up and she's like, "It's his birthday. I'm gonna pick
No,
a
sir.
fight."
He
Yeah.
set me up.
yeah.
It's
She
fine.
didn't. She
But the point is that I slammed the door.
double slam.
So you
Yeah.
did it first. Nice.
But it was
No,
fine.
She slammed
came
it,
back.
came back, and slammed it again.
Oh shit!
That wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. I could feel like I needed another slam.
No, it's good. It's good. It's a Scorpio dynamic. I have 3 Scorpios in my life that are the closest females to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nicole, Michelle, and my wife. Mm-hmm. All crazy. All crazy.
My
Good way.
20-month-year-old's a Scorpio, and she already shows it. When she
Oh,
gets
yeah.
angry, she just starts throwing things on the floor. It's impressive, actually.
Yeah, I mean, we get a bad rep, but that's not even the truth. Like, everybody wants us on their side.
The loyalty component, yeah, that's my favorite thing about my wife, because she's like, I'll kill everybody
That's
if
awesome.
you want me to. I'm like, but then she's also like, I'll kill you if you leave. So you got to take the good with the bad. You know what I mean? The fucking mixed bag there. But
Sages have that too, apparently.
yeah,
I get life-threatening messages once in a while. It's a sign of love, I feel like.
yeah.
Really?
Oh, for sure.
No, I've gotten some crazy. I'll burn the house down with you in it. Yeah.
Yeah, no.
That's
fine.
love.
Wait, you
That's
said
love.
No, I don't.
that? I'm like, Jesus.
So Chris, recently going through a breakup, you know what I mean? So how is it out there in the
Streets.
streets, you know?
What's it like to be single?
Dating sucks in 2020.
Well,
Does it
not even
really?
dating,
What about
it's-
the
it
dynamic
does.
about being
really?
in recovery, right? Being single in recovery and trying to like mixing that. I mean, I ended up with
A normie.
as in like will drink and puke in my car and then try to fight me type normie. But yeah, she's a normie. She's
That's
not
normal, right?
She's not in the halls. No, she's
No.
about like
that
3 more beers away from having the fucking.
It only happens a couple times a year, though, that she gets like really crazy.
Yeah, no, and
but
then
that's-
she doesn't drink while she's pregnant, so that's why I just keep
Keep her
trying to
pregnant.
keep her
Yeah,
pregnant.
that's a good game plan. Nah, 2020 is different. It's different. I don't know. Everything's like online, and it's just there's a lot of filters. Yeah, so
You get set up for the drive-by.
I have, yeah,
It's happened to you?
yeah,
Wow.
Nice. So are you setting them up as well by filtering?
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean it's just
What picture do you use when you? What's?
to be honest with you, I wait for them to hit me up on Facebook. So
Oh, okay. They
I
come
don't-
to you, is
yeah.
what you're saying?
yeah, more like flock.
Okay.
Flock, yeah.
more like flock. But yeah, no, I mean, it's weird because like I'm the type to like where like I'll start talking to someone and then insecurities will kick in and then I'll be like I don't want them to get me to know me too much and I'm too busy doing this and I'll push them away. But no, there's one recently that it is what it is. Working on it slow. I'm just trying to find out like what I want, you know, because
Yeah.
I'm at the age where it's like.
Trying to figure out if you're gay.
Well, I mean, I'm on the fence, been teetering. Yo, Nick, Mac, Michelle, and Ryan, Wiz said it the other day. He's like, dude, when are you just gonna come out, dude?
Yeah, no. We all love you no
Dude.
matter what.
Dude, that's what everyone said.
First of all, you got a glow going on. Now he's in the gym.
Yup.
Yeah,
You
Little
looking,
tan.
dude,
looking good.
I'm just trying to like build on me, you know. Anytime I've ever
Oh,
rushed
shit.
anything,
That sounds good, but
anytime I try to rush something, I end up in a bad situation. You know what I mean? Fists get thrown, and it's just, you know,
yeah,
yeah.
like fighting or
No, it was a joke.
like you need a
It was a
sunroof.
joke from the story.
You need a sunroof.
Hot. So Nicole's in school. She's going to school right now.
And I'm supposed to be doing homework, but I'm
she's
here.
supposed to be doing homework. She's here. Thank you, Nicole.
Procrastination.
She didn't want to be. We caught her trying to leave.
Yeah, that was definitely a drive-by.
Yeah. So she's here.
I'm here.
She's doing the damn thing. She's been crazy. I'm not gonna lie. She's been a little. She gets this today. You look good. Today you don't got the look in your eye, but she.
What's the look in the eye?
Dude,
Describe it.
Do you guys have?
You're
Do you,
deranged
yes.
and focused.
Yeah. It looks. It's like
Actually,
know.
she kind of had it earlier because you were
She
like, "You're
always
on," and she walked
she
by, and I'm like,
always-
"What's up?"
It's like a mom and disappointed look, but like just like it shoots through you.
Part of it is the fact that I
It's
am a
stressed.
mom, that I am
Yeah.
that like. But anyways, go ahead.
I was asking how you're doing.
What's up?
She gave me the fucking look, dude. Zoom in on that. Yeah, see that, and that's where she's at right
Well, you have
now.
a paper to write, don't you?
Yeah, I get a case study every week. Yeah.
I don't
She's
know.
in
I don't know
clinical.
how she does it. I
Yeah,
was
I know.
complaining about 2 weeks of recovery coach classes. She's been in school
Oh, it's
for
awful.
fucking 4 years.
How many more months?
Wait, how long?
Since I got clean this time. So what? Almost 9 years. It'll be 9 years in February.
That's unbelievable.
God bless you.
It's amazing.
What was the? December 20th is the.
Holy shit, 9 years?
Yeah. I went right at it when because
I'm saying, I remember those conversations.
No, I know. I destroyed my whole life because I relapsed and I literally couldn't live with how bad I destroyed my life. And so I just went back to school because I was like, no job is going to make me feel better. So that was my motivation to go back to school. Like, all right, I destroyed my life. Now I'm going to get an education because that'll make up for it. And I'm still doing it. So,
It's crazy.
Almost done.
So you've been in school for 9 years? Is that what you said?
yeah. As
Is it-
long as
has it
I've been
been
clean,
full-time?
I'll be clean 9 years in February.
And so at the end of this, what is your like degree going to be? It's
I'll be a psychiatric nurse practitioner.
So that should go out to anyone who thinks they can't do anything or achieve anything because of the typical, like, I'm an addict, like, I'm never going to amount to anything, that type of negative thinking to, look at you now.
Yeah.
Like, powerful woman in recovery.
Powerful.
Ooh.
I mean, you definitely are.
Well, yeah. Plus,
Tell me
what's
you're
even
not.
crazy, we're talking about friendship, and then you say 9 years. She has my old clean date.
Yeah, so I was on the phone with Jay. I kept trying to detox like every weekend. It was horrific. And he was one of the people that like I would be like, oh, whatever. It was a Friday night. It was pouring rain. And I had like 12 hours clean. And this lady was picking me up, my mother's best friend. And she was picking me up to take me to a meeting because I couldn't go by myself because everybody was babysitting me. And I was texting him and I was like, I didn't get high today. And he was like, all right, well, you got to stay clean now because today's my, was it your old clean date at that point or was it still?
No, that's when I had all those years.
Yeah, it was still your clean date.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget that.
Well, because then it's, couple
February,
years after that.
February 17th.
Yeah. Then I had relapsed and I'm like, you better hold that date
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
But
So
the
that's
same
that
friend, the
story.
friend component of being on the phone and you were struggling,
Yeah, I couldn't stop getting high.
that was a tough time, and just being there as a friend and talking and loving her up. And that date, it's just always held importance. Mike, so I had all those years and relapsed and she came back. She has that date now.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, keep it.
And then I was in touch with her when I was coming
Hey,
back.
don't give away your new date though, because
No.
you don't do good with that. Just hang on to hang on to
not
this.
going
What's
anyway.
the new date? What's your new
November
Don't
date?
even
9th.
November 9th,
November
so
9th.
you can't have it.
November's
Yeah.
good.
November 9th, 2016.
Mine's I liked my original date better, just the date. It was May 28th, 2005. And now it's February 17th.
Now this-
Mine's Nico's birthday, March 24th.
Okay.
Yeah, so I kind of I steal his shine on his birthday.
Yeah.
No, I don't. I don't even tell people it's my clean, my day.
Yeah. So that's that. And then so I've been in school since then, literally.
Damn, I can't believe 9 years.
Yeah. And I'll be done.
Nice, and then you'll be fucking
Nice at the
head
office.
bitch in charge. Yeah,
Not
and she'll
stressed
be
out.
nice again, somewhat.
I
Jay-
will be. I'll be I've done so much spiritual work since I've been in school. I just don't reap the benefits because I don't have the time to implement it. Is really what's going on.
Well, that's a full plate, though.
Justin gets so excited. Anyone talks about like spirituality, you just see him just like,
Me and
jeez.
Justin,
Oh, yeah.
You guys definitely
we're
Yeah.
co-pilots in that
We
little
are,
thing.
yeah. We're spiritual.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nicole just stays a little more.
I
quiet
do.
about
I
it.
do.
Yeah.
I wait until he breaks the ice with, "Oh, you guys are getting hypnotized." And
Yeah.
I wait until somebody's like, "Okay, all right," and then I'm like, "Yeah, I did. I did too." I wait for him to, you know what I mean?
I want to do that.
When did you guys get hypnotized?
Awesome.
Where?
So awesome. I see this hypnotist and she.
What does she do? Like reading to you?
hypnotizes and you get in touch with your
Higher self, really.
higher self. Yeah.
The
Altered states of consciousness, I would say.
It's like a deeper form of meditation. In
Just
a
got to
way.
make an appointment?
Yeah.
Yeah, you just got to make an appointment. I can give you her contact information.
To be honest,
Lois Herman. She's
yeah.
actually about to release a book on August 8th called Chronicles of Hope,
Yeah.
and it's really good. They're channels of her talking to other entities. Like it's fascinating.
That stuff,
Crazy.
I don't know much about it. It just interests me because it's like another step that I've
She-
never taken.
So
Yeah,
like
it's cool.
the
It's really cool.
The first session, she does like your energy clearing. And so you do that with her. And then I'm on some other weird path right now where we're doing healing around my son, Jackson's, because I was pregnant with him. And he comes from, me and his dad had a wicked toxic relationship, he has some stuff with him. And so we're doing the last 2 sessions were all based in Jackson. So it's funny because I said this to Justin yesterday whenever I saw her last 2 days ago. She's like, "So do we want to continue focusing on Jackson, or do we want to, get back to you?" And like I wanted to get back to me, but she asked me, so I'm like, "Nope, we got to focus on Jackson." Yeah. So it's just like.
Yeah, she
Because-
brought it up to me like, "Oh, you should do some work with Dakota." I was like, "Yeah, we'll wait for that." I'm in the middle of something.
Listen, this is about me.
But it's just like that's
years.
I don't know, like, and she asked me too. She's like, "Did you notice anything different with Jackson?" And for Jackson, it's just like he feels so deeply. I don't ever want him to be less emotional. I just don't want his emotions to control him so much. So that's, you know, we went back to like my pregnancy and when I got pregnant with Jackson, where I was at mentally, and then when I was pregnant with him because I used, and then when I had him. So it was pretty cool because we walked through what it would have been like had I had him in a healthier place. So, you know, it was pretty cool because I needed that, you know.
I would say, too, for people in recovery, to be honest, it's like you listen to Rogan and all these other guys doing DMT and, you know, getting into altered states of consciousness and believing in beyond this realm. This, for people who are in recovery who aren't going to take the psychedelic route, obviously, if, you know, some people in recovery are taking the psychedelic route, but if you're not, you know, this is a good way. Definitely you get into altered states of consciousness and I've spoken to people who aren't alive, like it's interesting. Like it's just your senses. It's not
I get
not
what
our
you're saying.
It's
That's
clairvoyant senses. It's clairvoyant senses.
Yeah.
So when you're in that state, it's hard to explain, but literally,
it's something
I've
you have to
spent time with
experience. You have
people.
to
You can
experience.
feel it. You literally have feelings of spending. Like the last session I had, I spent time with my grandfather, who was from my mom's side, and I don't even really know him. And he like gave me some messages and was like comforting, and it was really cool actually. I've talked to my inner child and like what's wrong with him, and you know, just deep work, to be honest. It's like if you really want to know yourself, keep going. Would be my advice, you know, because I deeply believe in the 12 steps and other stuff, but I also believe it goes beyond that. And I think this world is ready to understand that there's more than let on.
Yeah, for me, I don't want to just break the cycle of drugs and alcohol with my kids. I want to break the cycle of like this emotional turmoil that like we struggle from. And so like even if I just learn little bits and pieces here and there from all of it, like I just want I want them to have a better experience at life. You know what I'm saying? Even if they don't get on drugs and alcohol, it's not just, you know, alcoholics and addicts, it's people in general. I just, you know, want them to be able to have the tools to get to know themselves quicker than we did, really. So it's pretty cool.
I'm definitely interested in that.
Yeah, I'll give you her contact information. She's awesome. And once you start to research her, there's a bunch of Edgar Cayce was a very famous hypnotist who like spoke to other entities. Really, if you think about it, it's just like, is there higher intelligences out there that aren't in physical form? Is that really that hard to believe? I mean, we talk about God being in the sky as a higher intelligence. Is it really that hard to believe that if we get beyond our stressful life, we could maybe start to talk to some of these entities, that they're higher intelligences? When you talk about archangels and other stuff, there's beliefs, and Lois writes in her books that there's different dimensional beings that are just of higher intelligences that aren't in physical form. It's not that crazy.
Yeah, I didn't read her book yet.
I don't think it's crazy, but I also think people's experiences through life are what they decide they are. It's the same as if you think you can or you can't. I think whether you believe or you don't, it's true.
Yeah.
You know, so that's the premise of you're open and receptive.
I 100% agree with you.
So some people may believe that is all bullshit, and their experience through life will be that it's all bullshit.
Well, so let me counter that though, because I do agree with what you're saying, but I think the reason is they have done tons of testing at this point for psychic abilities, telekinesis, remote viewing. There's a bunch of stuff. Without fail, when they study for these things, they show up like 90% of the time in tests. But as they start to whittle down the tests to try to prove it as black or white testing, it goes away. But the reason that it goes away is because black and white testing is third dimensional. That's a third dimensional test. So you can't test other dimensional senses. You can't measure clairvoyance with a third dimensional test because it's another dimensional sense that we all know we have. We all have intuition and other stuff, but you can't measure these things with Newtonian science. You could measure them with quantum physics, but we don't understand quantum physics well enough yet to create these measurements. Newtonian science is black and white, but quantum physics and string theory has proven that everything can't be measured in black and white and that there's unlimited possibilities to things. So back to consciousness, if you think about consciousness, consciousness is what you think is. So if you open your mind to unlimited possibility, all of a sudden you are correct. It becomes a possibility. If you are closed in your mind of it can't be that, it has to be this or that thinking, black and white thinking is limited thinking. Let's be honest. It can only be one. It can only be possibility of two. No, not true. You know, none of us can predict. It's interesting how mankind has created belief systems that try to create permanency, even though if you study our body and our brain, we're wired for adaptability. We're wired for change. Our brain is constantly changing and learning. Yeah. So our belief systems actually don't coordinate with how our body was built to operate. It's just the way that we've been teaching things for thousands of years now, which is, in my opinion, it's incorrect, actually. It keeps us limited. And part of what's happening in the world, and they're talking about rising of human consciousness and other stuff, is kind of breaking out of this thinking. It gets into conspiracy theory and all this other stuff. It all ties together. It's actually very interesting if you start to dive into that hole. But of course, recovery is one of those things that teaches us to open our mind and to create new possibility. And so it's like, it's interesting because I think that people in recovery actually have a leg up on society because our teachings are those of more spiritual principles than actual, this is how it has to, you know what I mean? It's like recovery is like kind of a realm of spirituality, of like not being able to predict what is, kind of just being in what's happening and who are you bringing to the table in those circumstances.
Well, I agree with you 100%. And recovery kind of defies logic, right? The premise of like what we do, if you think about it in terms of like from a logical standpoint, if you polled people that didn't understand us and you said, this is what we're going to do, we're going to gather these fucked up people
in a church
and
basement.
put them in a room together.
Yeah.
And that's how they're going to heal. We're going to bring them together, not because common sense would say separate us.
Well, look at the kids in school. You always got separated. Like you go sit over there and you go sit over there.
That's if you try to isolate a problem
I never got
and
to sit with my
separate
friends.
it or whatever, but
Never.
Or discipline
Yo,
them.
Jay never made it to class. It was like, get the
My
fuck.
fucking desk was in the hallway.
no, but that's the truth. That, like with the solution for a bunch of
But that's all, folks.
the solution. Oh my god. I was gonna say, usually when that happens to me, like if we're in the office, immediately in my mind when I fuck up, I hear the Bruins theme song. Oh, because that's what we do to each other when we fuck up. But whatever.
This is actually a fist reference, but
Yeah. Oh my god.
Oh man.
Second time for show.
Hidden gems. It defies logic, right? So ultimately, like this shouldn't make sense, right? The gathering of us in a room and you saying that you feel better after because society or you'll label like heroin addict, drug addicts come together. The power and the energy of that room and the empathy and the compassion and is going to be the process of healing, right? And it costs no money, and it's the therapeutic value of one addict helping. Like it's not even like clinically sound. You know what I mean?
Well, we know that.
Yeah. So, but it is the most powerful element of what we have. So that defies logic in and of itself.
But healing, if you think about healing fundamentally, if you get a cut, you don't think you're cut better. It heals itself. Healing, in my opinion, is spiritual in nature and kind of sort of defies logic in ways. You know what I mean? So it's like, and so the healing process is, in recovery, we're very adamant. In 12-step recovery, we're very adamant about it being a spiritual solution. And spirituality is the essence of who we are. It connects us all because energetically, we're all the same. When you remove what we look like and where we came from and who we were and all this other crap, all this ego, version of ourselves, the essence of who we are just, energetic beings. And so we operate on an energetic level of like connection and love where you're going deeper. In my opinion, you're tapping into the collective. People
That's
reference
the part that's intriguing to me because I've known you for a long time. So that's just even hearing you talk about it, I can't really combat in the not combat, but I can't really go along with it. It's just all of that sounds intriguing to me.
It's
because it's another level of something. I've seen you grow.
Yeah.
How you carry yourself, your beliefs, just how you can discuss certain things. So that's the part, like it really is intriguing when you're talking about all these that you conversated with your grandfather that you hadn't even met. Like that stuff, I'm open-minded to so much nowadays, and I don't know anything about that, but I want to do that.
No, I mean,
Nicole brought a medium to my house.
I did.
Yeah, like I want to do that too.
Dude,
that shit was
there's healing in that, dude.
Yeah.
Like I found out, like I don't know.
Well, I have still trauma from my grandmother died when I was 17, and I've never gotten over it.
Yeah, you stay clean long enough, and these things start to become important. And like I've gotten so much healing. I mean, that particular woman that came to your house, I just love her. She's like a little angel. I mean, she's just light. And but like I've had so many different experiences at this point. All right, Lois does stuff like that too. Yeah. And like I have a lot of peace around my brother dying, which I know, like I lost my father when I was young, and that's those things, but there was something about like losing a sibling that just stung different. And I just have so much, as much as it still, can get to me in terms of like my niece and stuff. Like I know God has a bigger plan for her too, but I've gotten so much peace around, we're so much bigger than this physical life. And I believe that. And those experiences, they gave me that. That time she came to your house, she was good too. She was like on point.
No, she was good.
But that stuff brings me peace.
Well, yeah, because it's comforting knowing that this isn't it.
Yeah.
Wait, who came to your house? Did I miss that part?
It's this woman. Her name's Michelle Joy. I actually saw her the day we took my brother off life support. That's how awesome she is. But she's a I don't know if she calls herself a medium, but she is. She's not a psychic. There's very different. Like I don't believe in people telling my future just because there's so many factors in that. She's a medium. She
talks to people that pass.
Yes.
Yeah, I've always wanted to talk to a medium.
She'll come up.
1,000% I would do that.
I
was
wanted-
just out
Like
to
a
dinner.
group? Can you do it like a group setting?
We had a group at
I was just out to dinner the other night, and this person I was with was like, I want to go see a medium. Like, me too, but it's just, it's hard for me to trust in that, but at the same time.
So something I've learned about this is that we reject it and we don't trust it, but as a result of rejecting it and not trusting it,
No.
It's interesting because for years I wasn't open to this stuff, and as a result, it didn't happen to me. And one of the things that I've learned actually through the process is you have to be open, but two, you actually have to ask. You actually have to ask. When you're in sessions, it actually helps cultivate, but you can do this type of stuff on your own, to be honest. If you really quiet yourself, you can ask, that's why people have experiences. I mean, I don't know if anybody else in this room has had experiences, but people have experiences where they feel like someone's there, or they get a message about something, or they will come if you ask sometimes. It's like,
my closest thing's been in a dream.
The belief is consciousness. Is that what is it that hard to believe that your spirit is connected to your consciousness of your intelligence that lives on, and that we are more intelligent than we actually are here. We're in this body now to have an experience, so we're, experiencing what we see. Eben Alexander, who wrote, he had a near-life death experience, and a lot of people who have near-life death experiences kind of come into these beliefs because they see it differently. The realm, the veil comes down, so to speak. But he believes that our brain actually just tunes in consciousness. So our brain does have intelligence and does keep us tapped into this dimension, but that we actually have a consciousness that our brain tunes into, which to me actually makes sense, because I do believe that I'm connected to a higher source of intelligence, and I've experienced downloading information. I've experienced downloading
a fourth dimension.
I've experienced thinking about things or downloading information and reading in a book a year later. Has this ever happened to you?
Oh, all the time.
I don't do
so how does that happen?
What?
How does that happen is because the information is available and people tap into it. It's happened to me multiple times where literally I've just had epiphanies about things that I'm just like, oh, that's what it is. That's the truth. And then a year later, I'll like read in a book, and I'm like, dude, I never read that in a book, and I
Oh
already
no,
knew
that used to happen to me all
That's
the
pretty
time
cool.
with people. I would think of somebody I hadn't seen and not even talk about them, just think of them, and then they would pop up in my life, and I'm like, this is getting weird.
Yeah.
And it happens
I've had
like
that
a
happen.
lot.
and
I've
so-
had that happen.
And so Bill W. referencing being rocketed into a fourth dimension of
yeah.
existence. This is what he's talking about. This is what he's talking about. I have no doubt about it. This is what he's talking about. And this is coming from a guy that doesn't even go to that fellowship, but I've gotten into their literature because it fascinates me. And Bill W. started experiencing. He took a bunch of psychedelics, to be honest, because he believed that a profound spiritual experience was the only way for people to truly get it. And so towards his end, he like participated in this large study. A lot of people don't know that, but it's a fact. If you look at his life,
My truth is my drug addiction was driven by the lack of spiritual knowledge.
Spiritual malady.
and he says that using drugs and alcohol is it's like a fake spiritual experience, or
I can get with that. That makes
Yeah.
complete sense.
yeah,
Oh, 100%.
And so we're experiencing what we're craving, but not really. And so when we so it fills the gap, but it's not really the true solution to the gap. So when we obviously get into recovery, it's like, okay, what is it? And it's a lot of things. Spirituality incorporates like your whole being. So it can incorporate all areas of your life, but it's about nurturing them all.
So how
never
do you get to
stopping.
source? How do you get tapped into? Because obviously, like I know, but like for some person watch, because people will watch.
Have you
this and be
already?
like, what the fuck are
I
you talking
haven't
about?
listened to every podcast, and I promise I will when I graduate.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Okay.
But does everybody know how well versed Chris is on the Bible?
We've talked about
Yeah,
that.
he's dropped some JC.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. I don't
all
get
right.
too God heavy. I don't want to fucking. I don't want to get full TD Jakes up in here.
Yeah, you're.
I like to,
But-
but my role is because I'm in alignment a lot with everything that Justin talks about. But I play ignorance just to get him to explain, and because I know that a lot of people, it's like someone's opening up a book and Justin's skipping to chapter 763, and they're just
Paragraph
they're
two?
reading the fucking
The end.
the introduction.
That's
to
why
the
when he
book.
gets going, I'm like, that sounds awesome.
I get excited. It's
But
like
I just want to
the
experience.
information excites me. It's
Passionate.
No,
Yeah.
it's
Dude,
but,
we
but-
asked for Lois and she came. Like we were talking, we were having a
that's crazy.
conversation, and I was like, dude, because we were seeing this other woman who's awesome, talented, very expensive. And so, and I liked her, but she was very expensive, and I couldn't justify it at the time. COVID just hit. I was like, dude, we gotta slow this train down. And so I'm like, there has to be somebody local that is like around here that has the. And then she just popped up.
She reached out to me.
Yeah, she just
like
popped
reached out.
up.
She listened to our radio show.
But
Our
anyways,
famous
There you
radio
go,
show.
asking you shall
right,
receive.
She's
no,
like, you
and
suck.
that's-
Nicole's awesome.
But she's the second person who, like, and I heard this through Michelle Joy, the medium, too, as well. You have to ask. So, like, they have different rules. No, I don't want to say rules, but they have different ways that they function in their realms. And so, like, you can ask for, like, people will say, like, I never get signs from my dad, or I never, this person never comes to me in my dreams. Like, well, have you asked? Do you know what I mean?
Because when you ask, you're being open. When you
Right.
don't ask, you're living kind of stuck in ego of I know everything. That's what, dude. I didn't pray in recovery for 20 years.
Dude, I asked you that, and he's
Blows
so
my
funny.
mind.
You're funny. Sometimes,
20
like
years I
I'm
did
the
not
I'm the
pray.
one
Really?
who said to you, yeah, I was like, me and him were going back and forth one day, and I actually challenged him. We were on. I'll never forget. I was on the highway. He was going on and on about something, and I was like, dude, do you pray? And like, he was like, no, not like formally. Like, I don't pray. Like, I'm like, what?
But the reason that I didn't pray, my justification was I believe in the universe and I believe everything happens for a reason, and you know what I mean? And like, so I don't, but it was my way of justifying me still being in control.
How dare you?
I know.
Yeah.
All these
I've
years
done one
up
thing
on.
every day, every single day. I've done one thing consistently for 15 and a half years, and that's pray.
That's
I cannot even go to bed at night. I'll literally, if I forget, I'll wake up. I have the same mantra driven, like my prayer is like autopilot. I can go through the basics of it, the beginning of it. You know what I mean? Like my thanks and my gratitude. Use me as a vessel to shine your light and your love. Put the person in my life that you need me to help. Put the person in my life that's going to help me. The path that you want me. Like I have like this whole, and then I just get into conversation.
Yeah.
But like formally, like pray, like on your knee.
No, not
like,
even
no,
like
no,
not even just like.
No.
But I was that it was funny because it's not funny, but a lot of like it was just I was kind of taken back when his response to me was no.
But
that
it was me. It was one of the ways that I came to learn to protect myself. Is like nobody ever taught me to pray, first of all, and then second of all, from a very young age, I was living in foster care and stuff, and I adopted this belief system of like you got to take care of yourself. So you got to take care of yourself doesn't incorporate utilizing God. And so then when I got into the program and I started to believe in spirituality and I saw things happening, I was like, okay, I'm open to this. But I kind of just adopted more of like a universal view of like, I believe, like, because I have strong faith, actually. I'm actually a great, like, I've been through a lot in recovery. I've like lost a lot of people and I've had a lot of things happen. And so I've always had faith everything's going to be all right. That's like a belief that I incorporated. But actual God, please help me, or you know, give me a sign, or you know what I mean? Show me the way. I'm open. No. And since I've started doing that, it has had a drastic effect. I actually have felt more of a presence. It's like even... It goes back to like if you want to heal your inner child, talk to your inner child. If you don't go talk to your inner self, you won't actually have the healing. So it's like so easy for me to talk about my past like it was somebody else. And I feel like that's like that for a lot of people. But it's like if you really want to heal, you can get in touch with yourself of that time.
I was told a long time ago by my grandfather that, especially with prayer, because with just religion, I'm not religious. Spiritual, I'm spiritual. So I'm a seeker of knowledge. I don't believe in any one specific anything. The foundation of like my favorite stories come from Christianity. But am I like a devout Christian? No, I'm actually baptized Greek Orthodox. I don't even know what the fuck that means.
Oh man.
I don't.
No, it's just funny the way you said it.
I don't go to church. I don't like most of the churches piss me off if I'm being honest. We got kicked out of a church for a meeting hall because that we were fraternizing in the fucking smoking in the parking lot. It's like that's all bullshit. If you're truly for the people and God's word and all that, it's unconditional love no matter what. Yeah. So that a lot of that I'm like whatever to you.
The rules,
the rules and all that shit, but from a spiritual standpoint, my favorite biblical character is Jesus. We know it's undeniable the best story. If all you're looking for, if you don't even believe in it, the stories, what you can get from that is by far the best. Learn about that man. Like
that's why he's so forgiving, and that's why I get in trouble for being a Scorpio all the fucking time.
But it's so funny.
It's so. Coming in hot with the
and so does Sam.
My wife, yeah. Cause I remember I threw the Jesus thing because she struggles because she yells. She thinks she gets frustrated with me that I'm easily forgiven. And then I remember saying to her, talking about we were talking about God and all this stuff. I'm like, what is the last thing Jesus said before he died? And she was like, I don't know. I was like, how the fuck don't you know?
I don't know.
What? This is the epitome, like, whether you believe it or not, the story as a whole, so beautiful. Like, he gathered misfits. That's like what we do. His apostles were misfits. They were the fuck ups. He like, his crew was like our crew. You know what I mean? Like, good people that were lost in life at some point, and they got brought together through a purpose and meaning, and connection and unconditional love. And so they all were walking a journey together. But so eventually the freedom and all that was too much for the Jerusalem and the kings and Herod and all that. So they end up they beat the fuck out of him and nailed him to a cross. And while he's up there hanging with 200 individuals and people are throwing shit at him, his last words that he said was, God, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Still at the very last moment while everybody's against him. And that's why I said the closest you can ever get to God is to forgive someone else.
That's interesting that you say that, because Lois was talking about a book called Power versus Force, and forgiveness is actually a higher vibration. She said it's literally the highest vibration of an energy. They can measure emotions is ultimately, and forgiveness is actually higher than love.
Oh, for sure.
I can fuck with that.
Because it's easier to love. It's easier to love. The hardest thing you can ever do is to forgive.
Yeah, dude.
Cole got pipes.
Dude, when I went to Greece, I was told spiritually, I downloaded I needed to forgive my birth father who I hadn't talked to in 40 years because I was carrying around the negative energy.
Lois does a lot of work around that stuff too.
Yeah, she does. Really cool. Yeah. So.
And she taught me how to call on angels too.
Me too, which is weird because I grew up Catholic and I rejected Christianity because I'm not trying to put Christianity down, but
isn't it different? That's Catholicism.
The judgment. I can't get down with the judgment.
The Catholic Church is like,
dude, the word judgment's used like every other sentence.
But that
dude,
thing
get
you
out of here.
had
I don't
me
believe in
watch the
judgment.
other day.
So we're losing all our religious fucking fans.
No,
now.
that's fine. The thing you had me watch the other day, it's just so funny. He's like, what is God says he loves us unconditionally, but if you break these 10 rules, you're going to somewhere and there's fire and you're going to burn forever. And it's just like, that's crazy.
But you can't take that even going
That
back.
scared me.
You can't, but that's all fucking you rewritten biblical, taken over by a political system, which was back then the kings and all that. That's why there was new versions based off the King James, King this, King that, rewritten multiple times based off of control. That's why they took out. That's why they took out the story of Mary. That's why they took out the Book of Job. That's why they took out important artifacts in the stories that were counterproductive to what the churches were trying to do. They devalued women, which why they devalued Mary Magdalene, because the power it would threaten the infrastructure, the patriarchy of what they were trying to control, and it's all bullshit. But if you just take simple stories, because they didn't fuck with the story of maybe they did, but just the story of Jesus, his message is counterproductive to all the other control.
Right.
But going back to that, so I don't get super stuck on Jesus, what I was talking about was my grandfather always used to say, God don't care how the fuck you talk to him.
Gosh,
just talk to him. That's it. And once that settled down, because I used to be like, dear Lord, the Heavenly Father above. I thought that's what
you knew the dance moves.
I couldn't get down with that.
Yeah.
That was unnatural. I needed to be like, God, I'm fucking terrified. I'm scared. I'm hurt. Fuck, I'm not like, I needed to be able to speak as freely to a higher energy, a higher power, a God, as I would to my closest friends. And I needed to be able to ask specifically, even if, because I don't always get what I want, I get what I need. That's always, because sometimes what I ask for isn't what's in my best interest. And so, but I have to ask, and God provides what I truly believe, like what is necessary for me in my life, whether it's a lesson or a blessing, but either way, the blessing comes through the lesson. Yeah. So sometimes, but like you said, you have to be open. You have to be in a state of like asking for these things, and you have to be receptive. Part of the recovery work, when you start to realize how the mind operates internally, how it affects you emotionally, right? Let's say, so if you have no idea of the disease of addiction and how it operates with us through thought form, and it's just dictating all these emotions that we feel, and we don't have a source, which is 12-step recovery, which is whatever type of recovery, any type of connections to start removing the negative dialogue. Because when you start to get you can never control your thoughts, but you can start to understand your thoughts so they don't control you.
Yeah.
Right? And so when we get to this place through recovery and through connection, we get more God-centered, universe-centered, source-centered, where we're no longer allowing our minds to lead us. We're letting our spirits lead us. We've talked about this before. God calls, I answer. That's how I live. Source calls, you answer. When you're being we've all had experiences of intuition, the spiritual realm, because it will talk to you. We talked about this last week or whatever, but it'll always let you know something well in advance before your mind will accept it, right? Yeah. There's the mental acceptance, which takes a long time, but the spiritual acceptance, it's like Justin knew his marriage was over 5 years before he got divorced, spiritually. And he'll admit that now, maybe even sooner than that. And I've been in relationships that I knew were over, or in circumstances that I knew this is done, or this isn't for me, or my spirit was like, it's time. That's God being like, let's go. It's time to move. But my head would keep me stuck.
Yeah.
Because this isn't this is something different.
But that's the principle of discernment. That isn't taught a lot, actually. And discernment is listening to your energy and what works for you and what doesn't.
Of course, but some people get so stuck in here, they
and
never get to here.
And I 100% agree with you, but we all have the ability. It's innately built into us. But again, it's another thing that mankind doesn't teach. They don't teach you discernment, even though discernment is so important, because we teach other principles sometimes that negate our well-being. We teach loyalty and all these other things, but you shouldn't stay loyal to someone who's not serving your spirit.
Yes.
Yet we do.
Of course.
Because loyalty is so important. And I'm not saying you shouldn't, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, you're here to shine your light. And so if people are dimming your light, then you need to evaluate
Light that bitch up.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry.
Do you know what I mean? And I'm not saying you can't.
Nicole's
But
a shit.
at the end of the day, you do got to kind of eliminate some negative people out of your life.
I'll never forget one day he was on some shit. It was years ago, and he was like, I read a book and it told me to cut the snake's head off. That's what it told me.
He also, I remember one day where he was like, I was gonna get a divorce, but someone just told me that if I get a divorce, God says that I'm going to hell and that my children will suffer in hell or some crazy shit. I was like, the fuck are you talking about?
Yo.
Dude?
Yeah, somebody gave me advice that my children would burn in hell or
What
something.
sounds like, yo,
God.
and
I
that's
wasn't
what,
saying I was listening to it. Come on.
listen, I don't
You
knock.
it freaked you out a little bit because you didn't make a move for a while after that.
Yo, I don't knock anyone
you.
who's religious, nothing like that. But like, I was raised, Catholic, right? Went to a church right down the street, did everything, all the steps, first communion, reconciliation, confirmation, all that stuff. But like a punishing God, like all right, you can't lie, you can't
doesn't make
steal,
any
no
sense.
sex before marriage. I'm like, what the
need
fuck
to
do my
evolve.
parents do? Like, but the best thing about like recovery, right? It talks in the AA literature, right? I suffer from a spiritual malady, right? An illness. I'm sick, and I was filling that with drugs and alcohol, right, to deal with my not knowing how to express myself as a young man, insecurities, like that was the solution. But the whole purpose of the A literature, and he even says it, is to help me find a power greater than myself. And that's the purpose of this book. And so when I read that, I was like, well, like, I have a resentment against God. And my sponsor's like, well, what's your conception of God? And I was like, the guy in this guy beer, he's like, well, that's religion. He's like, you can believe in whatever you want. He's like, you ever go to a concert and like you hear a song and like the energy and like your hair stands up? I'm like, yeah. He's like, believe in that energy. And I've run with that. Believe in a fucking 18-wheeler. It's a power greater than myself. I just needed something. Now my idea is very different of like, what God is to me. But like, I can't imagine like, I don't know if it was like force fed on my parents that like, you got to go to church, you got to do this and follow these rules.
It's how they were all raised.
And I talked to my parents about it today. Like, I don't judge them for that, or like, I don't hate them for that. But like, for so long, I was like, I thought if you did something bad, you were punished. So like when, my girlfriend died at 16 and a half, I'm like, what the fuck did I do? I'm like, why am I being punished? And then like, that's where the resentment came. And that's where like, I can't talk about this shit. And it was just fucking, it's insane. But a shout out Joe. I don't want to say his last name, but my first sponsor for being like, believe in whatever you want.
Well, it's gentle, loving, and caring. That's what I believe in. Gentle, loving, and caring.
Well, and it says that in the literature. And to be honest, think about 100 years ago, they decided to take that route. That's pretty profound, actually. That 100 years ago, they bucked the system and decided we're going against religious beliefs here, and we're going with this concept of a loving, caring God. If you really think about that, though,
Two over here.
it's fucking pay attention over there.
Nicole drank a bang. She's like doing gang signs and shit.
But seriously, if you think about conceptually what they built, it's pretty amazing. Actually, it's really amazing. They got rid of
because that
they got
wasn't
rid of those
working.
reviews and said that's not going to work for us. Disciplining people's not going to work for us because it doesn't. And we're going to focus on the love. We're going to focus on the healing because love is an energy.
I remember having to go to CCD.
Oh my God.
Jesus.
CCD when I was a kid, right? And I always felt awkward. Because I couldn't fuck with it. And I can remember this like it was yesterday. Being a kid, it was very foreign to me. You can't see it. I didn't relate with the other kids in the class, the stuff they were talking about. Part of it's because I just didn't listen as a kid because my mind, I was always creative, right? That's why I do what I do now. So I wasn't engaged in class. And you just said it. It's very judgmental. I feel like everything that was being talked about that you shouldn't do as a kid, I was basically already doing it and just not listening, right? And then in 5th grade, I remember my family sending me to a Catholic school for 5th grade. And that, first of all, it scared me. They're like, because I wasn't doing well up until 4th grade. I had stayed back in 2nd. I just always getting suspended. You know, we talked about the deflection of emotions and laughing, and I was always in trouble for making people laugh. And up until 4th grade, they're like, we're sending you to Catholic school. Now you have religion as one of the classes. You have to wear a fucking uniform. And everything that this school was about was all religion based. And I just didn't, you just felt very judged. I didn't fit in as a kid as it was. So now I'm in a school that's based on religion. And I just didn't feel comfortable. Well, fast forward, I feel most comfortable around my people. This room, meetings, treatment, fucking recovery coach classes, right? Around other fucked up individuals. You know, hearing that story, I've never been big on the Bible, but I do like the stories. And you know, Chris you can pretty much share some of those stories as if I just read it. That's what's cool, the stories. And hearing that just made me want to read some more of the stories. I'm fucking 40 years old and I've never read any stories in the Bible because I've always kind of shunned religion.
Chris or his mother, to be honest.
And it's cool. We've been friends for years. Going there.
You
and
really want the source? It's my grandfather.
I know.
Yeah, which
but
we've
I go to
had
your
conversations with him, and that's intriguing to me. That is intriguing to me. What I'm getting at though is that I'm at a point in life where I go off of vibes. We've all been through some things, relationship stuff. I got stuff going on. I have a lot of positive stuff going on, and you know, I can't deny when negative things come my way nowadays because I want to fucking hit it head on and deal with it. Is there going to be pain and emotion? Yeah, that's not something I'm willing to fucking deflect with comedy. You know, that's a real life thing, you know? So to hear you sharing about going to a hypnosis or something, that's something years ago, if you said to me, I'd be like, first of all, that doesn't work because my mind right off the rip, I'm just not going to agree with what you're saying. So no matter how intriguing or it won't even be intriguing because I'm not accepting to it. Now it is. So when you're tapping into all that and you can keep going, I'm like, I want to be able to fuck with that because I want to experience it.
And dude, I gotta tell you that like some of the stuff that I'm experiencing is going against some beliefs because like I grew up Catholic, I was adopted by Catholics, and I rejected it. I didn't like it. I wasn't about it. They made me an altar boy. I got kicked out of Catholic school. Like
I got
kicked out. That was part of the story. I got kicked out.
I was an altar boy too.
I got kicked out of Catholic school.
I was in the choir,
and so for me,
I was.
And,
you got
the first time I did my 11th step, I tried to go back to religion, and it didn't vibe with me. Again, I was just like, oh, it doesn't vibe with me. This stuff that I'm messing with when I'm talking about like going into different realms, I've like experienced like visits. Dude, in a deep breathwork session, I was visited by Jesus. Dude, I don't fuck with Jesus.
Hey, tell him I said what up.
But for me, I don't fuck with Jesus. Do you know what I mean? Like he's not my
that
he's
should
not
be
my
on a
thing.
t-shirt.
Yeah, but this is why.
No, but I don't like. I just mean belief system wise. He's like not my man. You know, so like. But literally, he came in a deep breathwork session, and all I could do, I'm telling you,
Did he mention me?
He didn't mention you. All I could do was cry in his presence. It was so fucking powerful.
So here's what's intriguing about that.
Archangels there too.
But he experienced that, so
like,
no one can take that from you. You experienced that.
Maybe I'm crazy. You know what I mean? I
Dude,
don't know.
he made me
Yeah, but until someone else does it and goes, hey, what Justin was saying, that happened to me.
Listen to me. This sounds crazy, and then we can get whatever. Stay on the topic. I don't know. So Justin made me go. I went to deep breath works once by myself. I just wasn't. It wasn't.
Really? It wasn't for you?
It wasn't. I don't know. You got to go to experience it because there is a lot of value in it, but like it just wasn't something I could see myself doing all the time. However, my best experiences meditating have been through the breathing exercises. Those have been. There's something with that whole thing. I don't know what it is. So me and Justin tells me you have to come. You know, I don't know why you told me that, but whatever.
Because I needed you because what was happening.
Yeah, so he's like, you have to come. So we go, and I'm there, and I felt like the lady was like, oh, you're coming back again? Because, like, I felt like she knew we didn't really vibe, but it's whatever. It was cool. So we do it, and now we're in meditation, I guess we'll call it, right? Is that
Yeah.
So
Alter state of consciousness.
yeah. So Justin's there, and I don't know. I'm laughing. I don't know what's really going on, but like all I remember is that he was over on one side of the room, and I was literally like Tinkerbell. Like that's how fucked up it was, and he was trying to be serious, and I was like no, and I was like busting his balls like while this is going on, and so. It made sense to him after. It didn't make sense to me at the time, but like, you know, and then I floated around the room or whatever. And then one of the people that had an experience, like I had already known their whole experience because I helped coordinate that. So it was just kind of whatever. So I'm, you know, I don't want to put everybody's stuff out there. So then at the end of it, I'm like, dude, what was up with you? You were hanging out in the corner over there. And he knew he was hanging out in the corner over there. And he was told to stay back.
Yeah.
It was crazy. But I was like
you
busting
can
his
interact
balls.
with other people. It's crazy, dude. I'm telling you. This
But I was like,
Dude, I want to go.
No, this sounds crazy. But you know how Tinkerbell?
Is it Wednesday?
I don't know.
Thursdays, which usually goes on Thursdays. But you have to be open. It doesn't happen, but there are experiences. And so when you go with these spiritual teachers, they can interact with you on a spiritual realm. Like they'll tell you stuff like, oh, so-and-so's here, and fucking you're there with that person.
But he was
You're
all
like, how the fuck do they know that?
The whole thing was so funny because it was like literally like I was like, do you remember this happening? Because all I know, like, and I can't, it wasn't like visually, but I was like, Justin was being all serious, and I was like, nah. Like,
I was serious.
What?
I was serious because I was supposed to be serious, holding the space for people.
And I was in Lois
my role at the time,
right? And Lois told him to bring me because I was taking on the healer role.
And dude, I saw somebody dancing. She saw somebody dancing.
Well, they were around the fire.
And the person experienced dancing. They talked about dancing after the thing. I saw them dancing. She saw them dancing. But this is all, we're all with our eyes closed.
And I'll stop after this, but then one of the clients expressed how his mother came through, and I already knew because I helped her walk into the room. And like before he said it, I was like, all right, if this is actually factual, now we sit in a circle after, and she's like, you know, you guys have to share your experience. And I was supposed to go first, and I wasn't sharing that, you know what I mean? Whatever just went on. I wasn't going to say that out loud. So, but then when in my head, it's like challenging the universe or challenging God, so to speak, which I've done many times in my life. But I was like, all right, if that all really just happened, then he's going to say this. And dude, no shit. He was like, you know, my mom came through, and I was like, whoa. It was crazy.
Yeah. It is.
I believe it.
I'm so open to going.
But you have to. The first
I'm open
time,
to everything.
No, and
like,
for sure. But and like this is something I had to learn, and this, you know, this is for me because I can be like hard on myself, I guess, in some ways. But like it's practice, almost like anything else. Like going to meetings, you get better at it. It's like the first time you get a little taste of it, and then the next time you get a little more taste. Yeah. It's like not something that's just like bam, like and you know.
They're clairvoyant senses that the more that you practice them, the more that you get in touch with them. I would say is really, but we're not used to using them. We almost never use them. But then once you start to use them, some things will happen, and you'll start to. Yeah, but it's weird because then I get stressed out in life, and I'm not as tapped in, and I'm not experiencing as much because I'm more stuck in this dimension.
But it goes back to just be where you're at. Like because I would be like, oh, I'm doing all this stuff, and I have all this pressure on myself. Like I've learned all these lessons. Why am I still fucked up? But like we're supposed to do the peaks and valleys. Like I'm supposed to go up and down, and that's
your problem. Is always resisting the. Whenever you're like, I feel like I'm gonna have a breakdown. I'm always like, fucking break.
Oh yeah.
What we resist persists.
Yeah.
We break down and then we get up.
And
my favorite part is when I feel myself on the tipping point where it's like, oh, I'm about to fucking lose my shit.
I'm about to crash.
I look forward to the crash because then it's done.
You know you're up.
Then the pressures. And
I'll
then
fight it for weeks and it will be bad.
That.
Oh yeah, I embrace it, and everybody knows it's coming. That you can see it in me, but then I literally it takes usually it's like 2 days for me. It's like a 2-3 day
weekish, depending.
It's so funny because like it's so fucked up because Justin and Chris and you guys are all like my brothers, but like I've developed like they're in my everyday life. I've developed very, strong relationships with them. And it's like if I want to talk about fucking Tinkerbell, I call Justin. And if I want to talk about like how dark I'm being, I can call Chris. You know what I mean? And it's like it's just crazy. It's crazy. I don't know how people survive without
I don't
this
either.
shit.
Because it also all this energy, whether you believe in energy, whether you believe in God, whatever you believe in, it's through people. All our healing and everything. Yes, you talk about we have a self responsibility to it, and we can heal, but your guidance and everything that you've gotten and everything that you understand to this very moment was brought to you through people.
Yeah.
Right. So no matter what, isolated and alone, where
You just
A
stay
mess.
fucked up. If it just stays up here, you just become an absolute disaster.
No, I agree, but I do think it's interesting because recovery obviously teaches you to connect with people, and I deeply believe in connecting with people. At the same note, I do believe that you are supposed to connect with yourself also, and sometimes we can
miss that part.
We can miss that part. It's easy to connect with others, but are you nurturing your relationship with yourself? Are you getting to know yourself better? Are you freely being able to be yourself? Are you
the most
and
I
so
learn
some
about
people-
myself is through my interactions
Yes.
with people, though.
Yeah.
I am constantly through other people seeing important things about myself or revelations through someone else's, like even conversations with you, like that I have with you, or whatever. It's teaching me about me. It's through, I've had so many times dialogue, and within those dialogues, I've had moments of clarity of myself through the dialogue about somebody else, just in talking to them, and just what's already within me that's coming out organically is answering questions that I've been looking for answers to. But I was never able to harness that alone because there was a blockage, and maybe energetically I wasn't, maybe whatever, or maybe I wasn't asking the right questions. But through a dialogue with somebody else, through a problem that wasn't mine, solved an equation about myself in those moments, answered a question internally. And so that, I mean, yes, I agree with you too, but that for me has been the most profound answers to questions that I've needed answers to have come through my interactions with people.
I think they come however you need them. So I mean, tough life circumstances have taught me more about myself than a lot of things. You know what I mean? So I feel like I feel like it's an alchemy that like can't be single pointed on one thing, but
No,
that all
for
of
sure.
it, that
It's
all of
it.
it is.
Yeah.
All the work that we do in recovery, ultimately, all the step writing, all the interaction with others, all the, everything that we do, all the prayer, all the meditation, everything that you're doing is an alchemy of you getting in touch with yourself and the universe and the piece of yourself that's connected with everybody else. I would agree, I would agree with you. So, but for me, now that I've started to develop a relationship with myself, it's actually helped me to connect with others because it's like, it's an internal knowing that we're supposed to love everyone. It literally, so the more I get in touch with that piece of me, the more it like just energetically connects me with everyone else and allows me to energetically connect with everyone else. Because the more I stay in my head's the one that tells me, don't connect, you know what I mean? Just be quiet. Sit here.
Yep.
Don't let go. You know what I mean? Don't break. And you talked about you talk about breaking, and it's so interesting because it's like kids don't develop their analytical abilities until they're like 6, 7 years old. So until they're 6 or 7 years old, when they want to cry, they cry. When they're happy, they smile or they laugh. And then they learn to stop doing that. Don't cry. Don't do this. Don't do that. And then we have breaks when really children are the best reflection of God because they can just be. And so we are supposed to be, when we want to cry, we're supposed to cry. Like for me, that's another thing. I'm like an emotional wreck these days. Dude.
Oh, I tear up.
Every Friday, clients tell their stories. I'm just bawling on the side. I fucking love you.
Yeah.
No, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, and I don't care anymore. It's like,
No,
I'm
I embrace
like,
it.
Yo,
Yeah.
I still
down
come
over
back
there.
to though, because you rebuttal it's you can't get to your point without people. It is the foundation of everything. If you trace it back, you'll never arrive to this point that you're in this current moment without people. The connection is the most important part of any process. No matter, you can think as hard as you want right now, but you would never arrive to this point without it.
See, they're giving me
When you
anxiety.
say this point, what do you mean by that?
This moment with this perspective.
This moment with this perspective,
Yep.
without people,
Without
Is that
people,
what you're
without
saying?
the connection component. Yep.
Okay, I agree with you. I'm not saying that the connection component's not key. I'm just saying that I do think that it goes deeper than just the connection component. That going, like, Jesus went out to fucking the desert to talk to God for like a month.
Of course. It was him and who?
It was him and God.
Okay, so
Connection.
it wasn't Jesus and Jesus.
Yeah, but when you're connecting with when I say connecting with yourself, I mean connecting with your higher self, connecting with source.
But
That's
how did you learn how
I'm
to?
sorry, maybe
how did,
I'm.
But how did you learn how to connect with self? Through someone showing you, right? Because I was
don't know
I was
about that.
guided through spirituality through my sponsor.
Yeah, and I'm
If
not
it wasn't
saying
for that-
I'm not saying you shouldn't learn teachable. I'm
No,
just
I'm just-
saying you have knowledge within you and you have understanding within you,
Which you'll
that-
never get to by yourself.
Okay.
But I just
How did you learn?
But
How did
what
you
if-
learn?
hold on
How
a
did you learn
second.
to talk to God?
Back
so
up
somebody
the
told
trolley.
you. Somebody told you don't have this conversation.
Yes,
and
my
just
grandfather
be open and honest
my mother. Yeah.
Okay.
But what if
It
you
was
guys?
taught.
What if you guys just had two different experiences? Why does it have to
Why
be
is it black
this
and white, guys?
and that
No,
or that?
I-
Why can't it be two
I
different
have to
experiences?
play devil's advocate because there's a process that he's talking about deep at the end of a journey that someone that could be listening to this right now can think that they can, I hear what he's saying. I need to go in, I need me by myself. I need to figure this out and just go within what's already inside of me.
And I would agree with you that is wrong, and I'm not trying to insinuate that. I'm not trying to insinuate that. I do not believe that anybody can stay clean without connection of others. I don't believe you can meditate away your addiction. I don't believe that you can.
That's all I was trying to get to.
Okay, and I agree. I agree with you.
I have to come to you from a standpoint of someone that isn't on chapter 762.
No, okay, I get you.
I want to thank our sponsors, Rich Print Shop.
This is what
Definitely.
they do. This is them.
Every episode.
Yeah, this is them.
Well, every
It's all
other
good.
episode.
It's all
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, we do this in the
whatever.
office too. But I have to, and I know what he's saying.
In AA, it says that meditation is as important as eating, breathing, and sleeping.
Yep.
So it says in the literature.
No, for
It says
sure.
it's vital to your survival. What you're doing when you're meditating is getting in touch with your higher self. It's like that would be the goal. So to me, I'm not saying don't connect with others. It's a dichotomy thing. It's interesting. This is one of those dichotomies that, again, human beings, we want everything to be black and white. There are dichotomies that, like, two things coexist that seem like they're in conflict and they're not. So this is a dichotomy.
I don't know what that word means, but I accept it.
Let me see if I can look it up. Sorry. No, go ahead.
No, I will always just come from the perspective of someone who's learning for the first time.
Which there's tons of people that watch this that they don't understand
and-
certain things that are being discussed.
So I'm
sometimes
glad you
they dumb it
fleshed-
down.
I'm glad you fleshed
Dichotomy.
that out.
A division or contrast between two things that are or are represented as being opposed or entirely different.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate that.
Sure.
So we're at the end of the episode. We actually did all right for time, and we only did.
Yeah,
We went
I
about
think
10
so.
minutes over.
I think we did great.
We stayed on.
You
pace.
guys do need to get more women on here, though. It's becoming a men's thing.
Kim was just on here 2 weeks ago.
Okay, just
I
checking.
think people get confused because we wear skinny jeans, so that like
Yeah, no, right.
Well, I mean, you're
right.
feminine. You know what I mean? But so we're at the end of the podcast. Usually we end with a question.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Usually.
Of some sort. I put Chris on the spot.
What's the question?
You want me to ask the question?
Yep.
Oh man. What's something you do to stay clean on the daily? I want to start with Nicole. Go.
Oh, you're asking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you have to answer it.
Yep.
I always remain 100% honest. So
The honesty portion.
ugly, crazy. When
Yeah.
I have those crazy eyes, I'm just always this is it.
Yeah.
I like that honesty. Okay.
Something I do every day to stay clean. I stay connected. There's certain people I talk to pretty much every day and make sure I have similar thing, honest conversation about where I'm at. I have to own my truth, whether I like to say what I'm saying or not. It's not always about the good, but I have to share it.
Honesty, connection. Okay. Thank you, Jay.
This is good. This is a deep question, Chris. Thank you for this one.
Thank you, Chris.
You want to go?
I'll go with communication also.
Okay. Communicating honestly where you're at every single day.
Wait, what's the
communicating-
statement?
Yeah, I'm communication. I'm talking to people every day.
Daily. I pray every day. That's one thing I've done consistently. I try my best to stay within my truth. I've been more responsible to that, which in real time, which is very hard. Usually I put it on delay. I know I'm going to get to it, but I've been trying to be transparent in my truth in real time, regardless of the uncomfortability of that. But that's like chapter 10 in recovery.
Yeah.
It took me a lot of years to get to that point. Avoidance was very much in the early on. So communication, definitely, that's on the regular. The best of my ability to be honest and give and receive love to the best of my ability.
That was good. That was good. Honesty was really it, but I would say remaining teachable every single day. You know, understanding that I don't know shit even when I think I do. And yeah, trying to remain teachable and being open to different things like breath works or someone's view on.
I was just thinking if we booked a session and all of us went, like,
I would go.
but
Yeah.
and it would be wild.
I'm going
But I'll tell you right
Thursday.
now,
That's
if
what I'm more
Jesus
interested in.
goes to you again and he doesn't come to me, I'll be so fucking pissed. I'm gonna tell you that
Dude,
right now.
there's levels to this
Yes.
shit.
There isn't
is.
levels, not true.
I'm just
This
kidding. I
isn't-
just liked the way it sounded.
Yeah. If anything, the more open you are, the better. There's no, dude. Someone with a day clean could have a deeper
1,000.
spiritual experience than someone with 20 because they're less attached to themselves.
Yeah.
I've
Well,
heard
that's been my
guys.
experience.
Well, because they're still high.
I've heard guys come back to the house
Word.
and be like, it
still
was
levels to
life
this.
changing, and they love it.
So spirituality doesn't.
We should
it doesn't give a
honestly-
shit how much clean time we have.
We do
it
a
doesn't
group
give
session.
a shit who we are or where we
But
came
Justin,
from or all
we
this other
should
crap.
Book like a cool
Yeah,
like a
let's do it.
session with us, like not just but
We can
any
do it. We
like
could
our
do it this
staff.
Thursday.
I want to do a
We could go
medium.
with
I
this
want to get on
Thursday.
next time
No,
you guys
book
get a
it.
medium. That's what I want
I'll
to.
text
she
her.
can
I'm
do that.
about the medium too.
I'll text. Dude,
Anybody
that's
I
needs
got
how,
help
some
out
shit.
there?
That's how me. The first time I challenged you was I was like, "What's your idea of the afterlife?"
I
What-
got some
and-
homies
and
that owe me money still. I want to know where it's
Ascend's
at.
coming out, so I'm actually trying. My goal is to actually bring these spiritual teachers to people's doorstep.
Make sure you keep count of that Ascend plug.
Yeah,
That's like
Ascend.
that's
These spiritual teachers be easily accessible to you to help you.
Chris.
To
Take
talk
us
to
out.
aliens.
Tell it if they made it this far in the episode.
It's a miracle.
Tell them what to do.
Make sure you like, follow, subscribe, share, and comment below. Thank you, Rich Print Shop, our sponsor.
Yeah.
Shout out to Rise Barbershop, except for Craig.
Yup.
Make sure you buy Justin's book, The Recovery Conscious Mind.
Yup.
Get his app too, Ascend You. That's two mentions this show. You gotta get
And
paid
make
for
sure to
that.
tune into
Send video.
The radio show.
Come
Yeah,
on,
check
I
out.
am Justin's hype man.
Yeah, the
Process.
Flavor Flav, Nicole White herself, and then my man Justin Edling every Wednesday at
10:05.
10:05, not 10:04, not 10:06, 10:05.
Damn, Chris is killing it right now.
And fuck that racist bitch, whatever her name was. I got you,
Oh
Justin.
shit.
Something, Karen.
we out.
Yo.
Peace.
Love you.